Whether the team is giving us the highest of highs or the bluest of blue, we'll cover it all here on Commanders Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So right after yesterday's show, a bombshell dropped in terms of Daniel Snyder and his very tumultuous ownership here in Washington. And it's been really, really catching a lot of heat lately. I think it's a lot of traction that's been building towards maybe ousting him as owner. I'm getting excited, but I'm so guarded because I've been here before, getting excited, thinking that this was the smoking gun. This was exactly what we needed. And I said if he ever was removed as owner, it would be an accumulation. It would be body blow after body blow after body blow, and the body just finally breaking down around the 11th or 12th round, right? This is not going to be, aha, gotcha, and he's out of here, like it was with the Panthers owner, Jerry Richardson. This is going to be, all right, can't get a new stadium. You know, maybe he's hiding things from us in terms of financials. You know, just the gross negligence in which he is taking that franchise and essentially taking what was one of the proudest fan bases in all of sports, not just the NFL, but all of sports, and taking a media market that is supposed to be thriving in one of the biggest and most lucrative in the NFL, that DC, you know, DMV area market, and crumbling it to its knees, essentially. There's so much damage that has been done to this organization that is almost irreparable because of one Daniel Snyder. And I think it's the accumulation of all of those things that's ultimately going to make these owners decide his fate. Now, I still don't think he's going anywhere. You know, I have to protect myself. I can't allow myself to be swayed that this is it. It's going to happen, because we'll be dancing in the streets if it becomes a situation that they decide. First, they have to decide to vote on it. That's number one. And then if they decide that they've got enough votes, if they've got the 24 votes necessary to get him the hell out of there, we'll be dancing in the streets. We will feel like we've gotten our organization back. And so there's a lot at stake, but I can tell you, I haven't been this positive and excited about Daniel Snyder potentially being forced out as owner of the Washington Commanders since that article that was supposed to come out, that was supposed to be scathing, that was supposed to have all of these different accusations, that was supposed to be the smoking gun from the Washington Post. And while it was a damaging article, it wasn't enough to get him out. After we read it, and all the things that we heard that were rumored to be in the article, then actually reading the article, even though it was still vile and disgusting, it wasn't enough. So let me go back a second. I'm getting excited. You can hear it in my voice. Let's go back and actually talk about what the hell's going on here. So yesterday, league meetings. Okay, owners were at league meetings yesterday, and the reason I'm excited is for the first time, an NFL owner, so many times we've heard articles and things written, things said, and we've gotten anonymous sources. An owner in the NFL says, a league executive says this, okay? But there's never been a face or a name being able to be put to the quote. These could be fictitious, these could be made up quotes, all right? These could be fictitious names and quotes made up, not names, quotes made up out of air, and we're just led to believe that these are coming from real people. Who's to say? There's no denying this. Jim Irsay stepped in front of microphones, cameras, and said the following: I believe that there is merit to removing him as owner, him being Daniel Snyder. He said it's an ongoing investigation. And we're going to let that play itself out. But from the things that we've heard, the things that have been founded thus far, we think there's enough to bring this to a vote. And I think there's enough votes to get him out of here. It's something that we seriously need to consider. He also went on to say that it is a grave situation, a gravely matter over the last 20 years, what has happened to this organization. These are some really damning words from one of his constituents. These guys never turn their backs on one another unless it gets to a point of no return. And this means there's fractures within this group, specifically when it pertains to Daniel Snyder. There are owners that want him out. There can be 6, there can be 8, there can be 10. That's not enough. For Jim Irsay to come out publicly and voice his opinion means that there is a strong backing towards the notion that Daniel Snyder isn't good for business, isn't good for the NFL, and needs to be removed as owner of the Washington Commanders. There was something that made a lot of fans excited on Thursday night when Al Michaels, who was doing the Thursday night game, who is as plugged in a play-by-play man as you will find in the NFL because he's been doing it for over 3 decades. So he knows. He knows everyone in league circles. He's broken bread with just about every name that goes all the way up the NFL hierarchy. So trust me, when Al Michaels says that the owners would just prefer that he sell, that's a big effing deal. But I didn't mention it because guess what? It's Al Michaels talking. He's not an NFL owner, okay? He's voicing what we've heard in articles, the innuendos that are floating out there amongst the atmosphere. We've heard that before. We know that there are owners in there. Again, it could be 6, it could be 8, but that's not enough. For an owner to actually break the code of silence and speak against one of his fellow owners. There are only 32 of these guys. It's a very small, tight-knit fraternity. They may not love each other, but they all respect each other because one another makes each other money. Okay? And one thing about people with money, they love to be surrounded by other people with money. And they respect other people with money. And so this is a tight-knit fraternity here with these NFL owners. And they usually protect one another. And for that to happen the way that it did signifies a change, a shift in the thought process of these owners. Now, I'm not saying Jim Irsay is speaking for the entire group, okay? That may be just his opinion, and there may not be 23 other guys that feel the same exact way, which is what it will take, in addition to Irsay, to get Snyder out of there. It may not be enough. But the fact that he thought it was something that needed to be said publicly, where we could put a face and a name to the quote, says that if it's not there, it's getting damn close. It's getting real late for Daniel Snyder as the owner of the Washington Commanders. And so I'm excited. This is the best news we could have gotten. In a 2-4 season where you're making a quarterback change and things aren't going quite the way that we had intended this season, to hell with. Look, if you told me that we wouldn't win another game this season, but Daniel Snyder would be out as owner at season's end, I say sign me up for that. We can go 2-15 right now. Sign me up for that as long as I know this team is getting new ownership. That's how bad of an owner he's been, and that's how sickening it has been to be a fan of this team with that man running the show. Because until he's gone as owner, nothing will ever change. And you guys know it. You may not want to accept that, but you know it deep down inside, okay? It starts from the very top. So imagine my excitement when I saw this yesterday. Now, again, I have to stay guarded. I can't allow myself to feel the joy of this potentially happening because that's how you get disappointed, okay? A wise man once told me, hope is free. It doesn't cost you a thing. And hope really isn't Hope isn't negative. There's no negative connotations with hope. Okay? Hope only becomes a problem when expectations are attached. That's when it becomes dangerous. That's when you set yourself up for disappointment. Sort of like us this season. There's nothing wrong with being hopeful going into an NFL season. Hell, I'm hopeful every year. You guys know that. The difference this year than last year, the year before that, or the year before that, was that I attached expectations to the hope. And that's why I was so disappointed when we got off to the 1-4 start. I'm not attaching expectations to Jim Irsay's comments, nor the fact that he feels like there's 24 votes waiting for Daniel Snyder's ass, and that we can get him out of there as owner of this team, that there is merit for him to be removed as owner. I'm not going to allow myself to attach expectations to that comment. Because when I did that the last time, when that Washington Post article that was supposed to come out with all kinds of craziness, drugs and cheating and all kinds of nonsense that was supposed to be in the article and then it wasn't, I was disappointed. But I will say, my hope is at an all-time high. I'm not attaching any expectations, but my hope is as high as it's been since we started talking about sell the team, Dan. This is as high as it's been. I think we're getting close, okay? This man is being investigated by like 19 different organizations, okay, and factions. This gives this week 7 matchup just a little bit more juice. And it has nothing to do with the Packers. It just, if you're a fan of this team and you've been a fan of this team, especially if you're an older fan and you've seen winning, all you want is your team back. That's it. I don't know about you. I've been a fan long enough to know what this used to look like. And not like some of you who actually were teenagers or full-blown adults in the 80s and got to enjoy that run. We're at the Super Bowl celebrations, at one of those games, you know, whether it's the Dallas game in 83 or the Super Bowl in Minneapolis in 91, you know, or in Pasadena in 87. I don't know any of that. I wasn't around for most of that. And I wasn't old enough to be able to partake in the festivities. I would give anything to be at one of these damn ticker tape parades. But I am old enough to know what it's supposed to look like. I just want my team back, man. Damn, I just want my team back. I feel like we're getting close. I feel like we're getting close. But as close as I feel, I still feel like yet we're so far away. So this is a step in the right direction. But who knows what the hell's going to happen, man. I still feel like these owners are like, if you can do it to him, you can do it to me. And I still think they're going to be enough of those guys that are scared, that they know he's terrible for the league. He's terrible for their bottom line. But if they'll do it to him, what's stopping them from doing it to me? I think there's going to be enough of that that's going to keep Dan around for much longer. You know, the stupidest thing I heard in reading an ESPN article and then, you know, hearing Jim Irsay, the stupidest thing I heard is that they would much rather have Tanya own the team, his wife. That's got to be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. They respect her. She's a cancer survivor. They respect her coming and taking essentially the blows for her husband. And they respect the hell out of her. That's fine. You can respect the hell out of her. She's just as crooked, or I shouldn't say that. That's not fair to her. She's just as delusional. That's the right term, as her husband. She's just as delusional and just as dangerous. Because if you don't have the awareness to know what is thought about you and understand the damage that you've done, if you don't have that awareness, if everything's about you, if you're selfish, just like Daniel Snyder is, his wife is selfish, because when all of these allegations came out about the misconduct and treatment of these women, the sexual misconduct and the misogynist atmosphere that they produced in Washington, she talked about their family and what this has done to their family. She's so tone deaf that she didn't hear what was being said. She just knew that it was affecting her family. She's dangerous too. Get their asses out of here. All of them. I don't know if we're close or not, but this is a big step. That's all I know. And it makes me smile. All the way to my core, all the way to my heart, it makes me smile. But a smile doesn't get the job done. We need to be dancing in the streets, okay? We need this thing to happen. We need these owners to make this shit happen. Jim Irsay is not, I don't know if there's ever been an NFL owner that has gone from villain to hero with another NFL fan base as quickly as Jim Irsay has with this fan base. He went from the villain all summer long, talking shit about Carson Wentz all offseason, wouldn't take Carson Wentz's name out of his mouth, kept saying negative things, and we kept getting upset and frustrated, to now we're like, Jim, talk your shit, bro. Talk your shit, Jim. He's not the picture and the model of health as an NFL owner. He's got his own demons, right? We all know that, but they're out there. Jim's shit is out there. Jim's not the problem. They just got Lucas Oil Stadium like 10, 15 years ago. 20 years ago, whatever. It's probably, that's young for an NFL stadium. Lucas Oil Stadium is a relatively new stadium. We can't even get a stadium built here. That's a problem. You read it in the ESPN article. These owners want a new stadium, and they don't think Dan Snyder can deliver that. He can't. Nobody wants to get in bed with him. We'll see what happens. But wow. That's pretty big effing deal. I'll just say that. It's starting to mount. Every week there's something different and something more that's more tangible that you can sink your teeth into and say, hey, this is really gaining traction. Last week, the ESPN article with all of these different, quotes and things. Again, a lot of it's anonymous, so you really don't know. Now we are adding a face and a name of an NFL owner making a statement against Daniel Snyder. And Snyder's already shot back, and his lawyers have already shot back. I don't give a shit what they have to say. You've already made your bed. Here's your grave. We want to bury your ass as an NFL owner. Lie in that damn casket. This ain't no Undertaker shit. If we slam that goddamn casket door shut, we are putting dirt on that shit. We are burying your ass as an NFL owner. I hope you go on to be super successful in every other endeavor except NFL owner. Get your ass the hell out of here. You and the rest of your family. I don't want anybody with the last name Snyder having anything to do with this organization. Let's move on to football. In other news, Ron Rivera spoke today. So did starting quarterback Taylor Heinicke. How does that sound to you guys? Does that have a nice ring? You know what I've realized, and I knew this, but it's one thing to subconsciously know something and then to have it hit you in the face. That's a separate issue. And that's essentially what's been done this week. Is I didn't realize how many Taylor Heinicke supporters there were in this fan base. Like true Taylor Heinicke fans. Now, a lot of us, and trust me when I say this, a lot of us are rooting for Taylor Heinicke, but we understand the limitations. We understand what he is as a quarterback. Some of you don't. Some of you are like, hey, he deserves another shot. That was his first year starting, yada, yada, yada. And that's fine. You're entitled to believe whatever you want to believe. All right. But what I've found is that more people have gravitated towards Taylor Heinicke than I could have ever imagined. There is a real excitement. I won't call it a buzz. That's a little bit much. But there's a real excitement for Taylor Heinicke getting this opportunity. And so I'm anxious to see what he can do. With all these weapons, it's a much better offense than anything he's played with, going all the way back to the 2020 playoff game against Tampa or even last year. This offense is way better. He's got way more weapons to work with. And I'm anxious to see what he does with all these weapons at his disposal. So, because if these guys, if they're the playmakers that we think that they are, and we know they are, then he shouldn't have to do a whole hell of a lot other than do what Kirk Cousins is famous for doing and distributing the football. That's all he needs to do. Doesn't have to be a superstar. Just come in and get the ball to the guys that can make you look good. And I think he can do that. So, there are a lot of Taylor Heinicke supporters. Like, I got people hitting me up like, yo, I haven't wanted tickets all year long. I want some tickets to go see Taylor Heinicke. I'm like, well, I'll be damned. Okay, well, all right then. So, Ron spoke today. Really not much to glean from what Ron had to say other than the injured players. And we'll take a look at the injury report here in a second. Chase is not playing this week. So we can go ahead and put that to bed right now. And I told you I didn't think he would. I think this week was a little bit, premature. Next week is the first week I think you can start having real conversations about Chase Young. I still am on the 9th week, at home against Minnesota. I just somehow envision his first game back being at home, not on the road. So we'll see if next week against Indy on the road is a good target date for him to make his debut. I just feel like it's going to be at home, week 9 versus the Minnesota Vikings, but we shall see. He talked about Chase needing to see Dr. Andrews one final time to get that report, and then they'll kind of go from there. They feel like he's getting really close, but he's not there yet. So as far as the other guys, Jahan Dotson, Sam Cosmi, and Logan Thomas are concerned, we talked about yesterday them coming in and the trainers putting them through a rigorous workload to see how their bodies would respond for practice on Wednesday. And of the 3 guys, Logan Thomas was the only one to not get the response that they were looking for with his injury. So he didn't practice today. But Sam Cosmi, who has been fitted for a cast, is out there getting a little bit of work. He was limited today. Same can be said for Jahan Dotson with the hamstring. He was limited today. Ron sounded very positive, similar to the way he sounded with Brian Robinson the week he came back. He sounds very positive on Jahan Dotson. I feel really good about Jahan playing this week as well, but we'll see. Hamstrings can be very, very tricky, so you always want to be careful with those, but feel good about where those guys sit as we speak right now. But the most interesting piece of Ron's presser today was when Ben Standig, phenomenal job here as one of the beat reporters, asked Ron about potentially kicking Sam Cosmi inside, saying, look, in an effort to get your 5 best offensive linemen on the field, would you consider leaving Cornelius Lucas at tackle, who's played really well, and kicking Cosmi inside? And Ron wouldn't commit to it, but he said, it's something that, we can definitely entertain, but, we just want to check his hand and see how he, responds to that and see how he moves around and how everything goes with the cast first. And then we can start talking about other things. And then he pressed again and he said, okay, so assuming that he's healthy and he can go, is that something that you would entertain? I know he's supposed to be a tackle and you may love him at tackle, but in the event, in the effort to get your 5 best, and we've had this conversation already. We had this conversation going back in the days talking about Trent Williams kicking inside and Ty Nsekhe playing left tackle because that would give us our 5 best offensive linemen. We've explored this after the week 3 debacle versus the Eagles. We've been talking about shuffling around this offensive line to find the best 5 guys. And there's no mistaking it. Sam Cosmi going to left guard, and keeping Cornelius Lucas at tackle is the best thing for this offensive line. But again, is that the best thing for Sam Cosmi's overall development as a tackle? The answer is no. So that's something to consider. But Ron said, I'm not going to tell you if that's what we're thinking about doing. I mean, we might as well just tell Green Bay our game plan if that's the case, which tells me that they're thinking about it. I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to do it. They're going to stick Sam Cosmi at right tackle and leave Andrew Norwell at left guard, but I do think that there is a chance that when Wes Schweitzer comes back, that something can happen, right? That they could, look to insert Wes Schweitzer at left guard if Andrew Norwell struggles. We'll see. I don't think they're going to do anything, but that was an interesting exchange between Ron and the media. And then obviously Ron had a bevy of, owner questions lobbed at him. And he said, look, I'm not talking about that. I don't want to concern myself with that. All I care about is football. Again, this is what comes with the territory of being the head coach of the Washington Commanders. You can't avoid this. It's like the plague. It's going to spread. He said, he had to talk about, these players are young. They're on social media. They try to act like they don't see what's going on. That's bullshit, okay? You're talking about 22, 3, 4, 5, 6-year-olds, okay? These guys are glued to their phones. They're glued to social media. Trust me, they know what's going on. All right, now it really doesn't affect them. What happens with the owner, they're still going to get their checks. They're still going to get paid. They still got a job to do. But in the grand scheme of things, if ownership changes, it does affect a lot. This owner he's locked into this roster, right? He's locked into this coaching staff, okay? He's invested in these players, in this staff. You bring in a new owner who may then want to bring in a new head coach and a new staff. That means no one that is left is invested in you, which means you could be on the chopping block. So it does, in a way, affect these players, but they got a job to do. It's tough, which is why this shit needs to happen. So we don't have to keep doing this song and dance. But, Ron said, look, all I can do is get the players ready for Green Bay. Like, that's all I can worry about is the play on the field. I can't worry about anything else because I really don't have anything to do with that. So, Taylor Heinicke, how can you not love the guy? Right? Like watching his presser, it reminded me of last year, listening to him every single week. Just a lovable dude. Always got a smile on his face. Always keeps it lighthearted. Talked about, his arm strength and going out to, Cali to see a guy that worked with Carson Wentz on his hips, footwork and things of that nature to try to get more power behind his throws. And he said it's a work in progress, but he said it's a lot like a golf swing. So he's like, I played a lot of golf, which was a little bit of a joke. But, he talked about when Carson told him, hey, I think I might have fractured my finger. And he's like, hey, I'm going to just act like you ain't say that because I plan on playing some golf this weekend. So I ain't even trying to trip. And so, he's just a really cool dude. I know a lot of you watched him on Bussin' with the Boys with, what's the linebacker that used to be here? Will Compton and Taylor Lewan. You've seen him on that show. I watched that entire episode. That's the only episode I've ever watched from start to finish. And it's actually a really good, anytime players get to chop it up with other players, like I Am Athlete or the one with Ryan Clark and those guys, anytime players get to chop it up with other players, you're going to get the reels. They're not going to hold back. They're not going to hold any punches because they talking to one of their own. So they're going to let it loose. And so, I thought that Heinicke interview was awesome. And it just, again, how can you not love this dude? How can you not root for him? So I'm hoping that he's learned. He talked about learning from last year's experience, even learning from watching this year and, seeing all the weapons and, talking about, how he feels like he's going to be a much better quarterback this time around from all the things. I mean, what is he supposed to say? We've heard this before, right? When Dirty Chaz came here, he talked about all of his experiences and he sold everybody a dream. I wasn't falling for the shit. And then it was 36-0 at halftime versus the Giants. Okay, so like I don't really give a shit what you have to say, even though I know Heinicke isn't going to have us in that type of a deficit like Dirty Chaz. Show me. I don't really care to hear. Show me. That's where I'm at with everybody on this staff. Show me. Don't tell me. Show me. So let's take a look at the injury report as we head into Week 7 versus the Green Bay Packers. As always, it's a long laundry list. It's never easy with this team, ever. And so John Bates didn't know he was injured. Or we did. Because he was, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was out last week, as a matter of fact, against the Bears. I don't think he played against the Bears last week. Hamstring did not practice. De'Ami Brown groin. And I don't know if De'Ami finished that game. He got that one deep ball from the slot against the Bears, and then I don't know if I saw him again the rest of the night. So he might have really hurt that groin. Did not practice. Again, Wednesday, if you're not going to practice, the day to not practice is Wednesday. So keep that in mind. Quadricep, Percy Butler, limited. That's a big upgrade for him. The last 2 weeks, he's just been DNPs. So maybe there's a chance he can get back out there. He's our best gunner along with Cam Sims. So it'd be great to get Percy Butler back on the field. Tariq Castro Fields, this was his first week being activated last week with the William Jackson III injury. And he's already got an injury now, a knee. He's limited. We'll see where that goes. Sam Cosmi, finger limited. He's trying to work through that injury, got a soft cast on the hand. We'll see if he's able to go this week. I feel confident that he will. Same can be said with Jahan Dotson and his hamstring. Again, hamstrings are tricky, so can't be sure. We'll see how he feels tomorrow. If we can get an FP out of him tomorrow, same with Sam Cosmi, that would be great. Hamstring, we'll see what happens there. William Jackson III, back, DNP. He's not playing another snap for this team, I don't think. If they can trade him, they're going to move him. That's what they're working on right now. Logan Thomas calf did not practice. I don't think he's going to play again this week. Carson Wentz right finger, we already know he's out. The question is, are they going to put him on IR or not? And Jonathan Williams, knee, did not play last week. Got injured in the Cowboys game and hasn't played since. So he was a DNP as well. So a lot of DNPs, but the only ones we need to be concerned with are at the top in John Bates and De'Ami Brown. And Logan Thomas, obviously. But William Jackson III, think he might be done in Washington. Carson Wentz, we know he's not playing for at least the next month. And Jonathan Williams is another guy that I think is probably going to be out of this game as well. So we transition from us to Green Bay. And David Bakhtiari, their tackle, has been in and out of the lineup for the last 2 years. Really missed the last 2 years of football. Just came back like 2 weeks ago, but he's still been in and out of the lineup. They're kind of revving him up, so to speak. We'll see if he's able to go or not and how much he'll go during the course of the game. Randall Cobb is not going to play. He's out. The initial prognosis when he first injured himself and he was seen crying being carted off the field is his career might be over. This is an aging veteran receiver. If his ankle was broken, his season was done, he might have been done. But the ankle was not broken. It was just severely sprained. He's not playing, obviously. So one of the veteran receivers is out. Toe with Rashawn Gary. He's their best pass rusher right now. Full participant. He's going to play. Jake Hansen, biceps, did not play. That's an offensive lineman. Elton Jenkins is a starter. He was limited today. He's a big starter for them. I assume he's going to play, but we'll keep an eye on that. Rodgers' right thumb, didn't practice. Not a big deal, right? He's going to play in the game, but, just something to note that he's dealing with the thumb issue. If we can get to him, maybe we can get the football out of his hands because he doesn't have as tight a grip. That's just me being, a little bit forward thinking and optimistic. The likelihood is if he can grip the football, he's going to have a strong grip of the football. He's going to play. Nothing to see here. Christian Watson, hamstring. Don't think the young fella's going to play. He's been out of the lineup for most of the season. That's one of their deep threats and a guy that has some speed. That's their second-round pick. And something just to note, he's not on the injury report because he's on IR, but I think they're going to bring back Samuel Watkins this week, which sucks because we want the young boys out there running around. We don't want to see a veteran receiver running around because that's when the mistakes happen. When the young boys are out there, that's when wrong routes are run, drops happen, frustration sets in. You bring in a veteran like Samuel Watkins, that's the kind of guy that can kick our ass. That's the kind of guy Aaron Rodgers has trust in, who he'll be looking to throw the football to, especially with Randall Cobb being out. So I saw him running around at practice today. That doesn't make me excited. That means he's close to coming back. I think they're going to activate him for this game. That sucks because I was excited with Randall Cobb, being out and no Samuel Watkins. It's just a bunch of youngins out there and Alan Lazard. That gives me hope that, hey, we can really take these boys down. You add in Samuel Watkins, he's a really scary dude for a secondary that isn't, all that great. So, but we shall see. I think we've handled everything that needed to be discussed. Talked about Heinicke and Ron Rivera, gave you the injury report. Let's now take a first look at the Green Bay Packers. 3-3 Packers traveling to FedEx Field to take on the 2-4 Commanders. Packers coming off of an ugly loss at home to the New York Jets. The most lopsided loss Aaron Rodgers has taken at home when he's played in all 4 quarters of the game. And a lot of you, said after the game, oh, Aaron's going to be pissed. He's going to take it out on us. And that may happen. I don't think it will, because I just don't see their offense being as dynamic as it's been in the past. And there's something off with that football team, even defensively. They're not even that great defensively as they've been in the past as well. And so while they've got a very, very dangerous secondary and they can get after the quarterback, I still think there are holes in that defense that you can exploit. Mainly, they're not good against the run. And so if we can find a way to, and Ron's talked about wanting to be more balanced, wanting to give Antonio Gibson more opportunities, and this 3-headed monster that we have in the backfield. Now, this is the time. I felt like we didn't take advantage of the Bears, rushing woes, defensively. And now we're getting another team with rushing woes defensively. We need to take advantage of it and have Taylor Heinicke play off of the fact that we're running the football effectively. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers, he's a bad, bad man. I don't need to tell you that Aaron Rodgers is capable of coming in and shredding us and getting back on track. We seem to be everybody's get-right game, right? Everybody that's struggling, we're the antidote. I'm hoping that, after this game, the Packers go see the doctor and he says, I got a prescription for you. Go see the Commanders. Come back and tell me how you feel in a week. I hope that's not what he said. I hope he's like, all right, go home, kind of let it soak in a bit, and see if you're still having some symptoms. I'm hoping we're the symptoms, and we continue to push that narrative, and they lose. And then they go back to the doctor, and he says, tell you what, and then he gives them a script, for, hey, go see the Lions, come back and talk to me, or go see somebody else. Don't let it be us, right? If we could get pressure on Aaron Rodgers like the Jets did, we can win that football game. If we can get pressure on Aaron Rodgers like the Giants did, and we're not the Giants, we're not going to be blitzing like Wink Martindale, but if we can get pressure on Aaron Rodgers and create some doubt. One of the things I thought we did against the Packers last year, very early on in that game, is we sacked Aaron Rodgers and we hit Aaron Rodgers. And I thought we sped his clock up. Jonathan Allen had a monster game last year against the Packers, and he sacked Aaron Rodgers relatively early in that game. And I really thought we hit him early in that game, and we set the tone. And Rodgers was not comfortable against us last year. If you remember that game, they went for it on 4th down on the opening possession. They shouldn't have scored. They did. Rodgers extended the play, found Devontae Adams going across his body, and he ended up getting in the end zone on the 4th down. But that was really it. The only other real big touchdown that they scored was right after halftime. Now, we were in that ball game, if you recall, and, Taylor Heinicke fumbles on the opening possession of the 3rd quarter, and Rodgers, like 2 plays later, finds Robert Tonyan, and boom, just like that, they've taken a commanding lead, one that we wouldn't be able to overcome. But honestly speaking, Rodgers did not have a great day against us last year. I like our chances in this game, but we're going to have to do the things that winning teams do. We're going to have to take care of the football like we did on Thursday night. We're going to have to be able to get after Aaron Rodgers. We're going to have to be able to run the football, take pressure off of Taylor Heinicke. We're going to have to be able to score some points. The Packers haven't been this explosive offense as they've been in the past, where they could rack up 34 points on you like that in a heartbeat. They've been a little bit more of like us. We're averaging 17 points a game. The Packers are averaging 17.8 points a game. So we're not that dissimilar, right? Like, they're not the Packers that you've come to know and love, okay? They're not to be feared is what I'm trying to tell you. But again, just because you're not scared doesn't mean you can't get your ass whooped. I've always told you, all right? Being scared or fearful is not a prerequisite to getting your ass beat. You don't have to be scared to get your ass whooped, okay? Punks jump up to get beat down, okay? You could be all brolic if you want to, and get up in the face of the wrong dude and get your ass whooped. Aaron Rodgers is that dude. And if you don't come correct, you better not come at all. Because if you get in his face and you get him riled up and you ain't got no real substance behind that, it's going to be a long day. So looking forward to this matchup. we're going to have to stop their rushing attack with Aaron Jones. That they've been more successful on the ground, and when they're running it effectively, they're a different team. We saw it against the Bears in week 2. We've seen it throughout the course of this season. When they're able to run the football, they're a dangerous team because it opens up Pandora's box. Now Aaron Rodgers is going play action fake. Now he's taking shots down the field. Now there's open holes in zone coverage. Now he's feeling more confident. You take away the run and you force Aaron Rodgers to beat you with a bevy of young receivers who continues to make mistakes. I like our chances. It's not often that I say, hey, make Aaron Rodgers beat you. But in this particular case, make Aaron Rodgers beat us. And maybe he does. But I'll take my chances if we can stop the run. We've been doing a better job of it. You know, there's still been big plays. Every game we give up big plays, I'd like to limit those, if at all possible. But that's our first look at the Green Bay Packers. We'll have so much more on the Packers moving forward. But that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on Commanders Nightly News. Look forward to chopping it up with you guys later on tonight. We're going live 8 p.m. with the Super Friends. I know a lot of y'all think I'm going to my own funeral. It's all good, man. Y'all ain't got to cry any tears for me. Don't cry for me, Argentina. I'm going to be just fine. I can handle myself. All I ask is that you just come and support, man. All right, that's all I ask, is that you come and support. But look, you know what it is. We're bringing up the rear in the division. Everybody's feeling damn good about themselves right now. Hell, I'm not even feeling that bad. After the Dan Snyder shit that's going on and feeling like we're getting close to getting his ass out there, we're coming off of a win. Heinicke's getting an opportunity. I feel like the offense can't be any worse. Defense is playing extremely well. There's a lot to be optimistic about, but we'll see. Anyway, come join me tonight and hold the kid down amongst all of the super friends on the stream tonight. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. Until next time, you guys, take care. Have a good one. See you next time.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hole. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20.